Hey, welcome back to Year of the Wager. I am 2Commas. Thanks for tuning in. In today's episode, we're going to have a 2040 game. That was a definite roller coaster ride, so stay tuned all the way to the end. And before we dive in, I do want to say a huge, tremendous, big thank you to all of the subscribers out there. We just hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, which is very important in YouTube world. So thank you for watching the channel. Thank you for providing positive feedback and letting me know that you like what I'm doing and that I should keep it going. So definitely appreciate it. Continue to leave comments. I respond to all the comments. So thanks again for all your support. Two more really quick announcements. First, I am going to be doing my mixed game meetup December 6th in Las Vegas at Resorts World. So a lot of you all have said that you would love to play with me. I would love to make a new friend or two and meet everyone that has been watching the channel and get a chance to play with you. We're going to have food, prizes, drinks, lots of fun. So definitely come through. And also, I'm going to be doing my part to support the mixed game community and going to the Mixed Game Festival the week of November 17th in Las Vegas at Resorts World. So I will be there for at least 2 or 3 days playing and hope to see you there too. So that's enough about all of that. Thanks again for your support, and let's shuffle up and deal. We're going to start the action off with a little Razzdugi. For the unfamiliar, it's a split pot game played in stud format, where half the pot goes to the best ace to 5 hand, and the other half of the pot goes to the best Badugi hand. I start off with an awesome 4, 5, 6 rainbow, and I'm feeling lucky. I need a heart for the Badugi and 2 low cards for my Razz hand. I've got 2 opponents, and they start off raising to $60. I ain't never scared. And I'm in like Flint. The King of Clubs on 4th Street is a little disappointing, especially when my opponents both improve. But I'm undeterred because my mama told me to eat all my vegetables. She also told me to clean my room. Now, neither of those things apply to this scenario, but my dad gave me better advice for this situation, and that's not to quit when you hit a rough patch. So we press forward. The 8 of Hearts on 5th Street gives me an 8 low draw and an 8 Badugi. However, both my opponents catch aces and their boards look scarier than mine. So although they let out for $40, I decide to only call and proceed with caution. The 3 of Hearts on 6th Street is a great card that gives me a 6 high Badugi. Except some of you astute observers will notice that I didn't raise. And that's because I didn't realize that I improved my Badugi. Plus, my opponent's board is looking dangerous with the 6 high hand showing and 3 to a 6 high Badugi. Nonetheless, I proceed with the call for $40. The river is a meaningless Queen of Hearts, but I still make the call, hoping to get at least half the pot, but I'm surprised to find out that I actually have a scooper with an 8, 6, 5, 4, 3 and a 6 high Badugi. We switch the game up to play a little Badacey, and for those of you watching at home, you should never draw 4 to enter a pot. However, I was told that defense wins championships, and I have 3 aces in my hand, so I'm going to play a little defense and draw 4, knowing that at least 2 of my 3 opponents don't have an ace. I improved on my first draw, pulling in the 5 and the 7. Not really a monster, but I decide to call $40 and see what else unfolds. On my second draw, I pull another ace and an 8, which means that none of my opponents have an ace, nor will they be getting one. And that is information I can use to my advantage. The action checks around, and on the third draw, I catch the 6 to make an 8 low. I lead out for $40 and get 1 caller. He announces that he has a 10-10, and I table my 8, stating that I knew no one else had an ace. While I was talking with my table mate, the dealer mistakenly pushes the entire pot to my opponent, and I quickly wake up to object, letting them know I deserve half the pot for my 8 low hand. This is something you have to stay on top of at the WSOP because most of the dealers don't know how to play mixed games and can't tell you who won the pot. Whoa. Where's the rest of my chips?
10-10.
I had an 8.
He had an 8.
I had an 8.
He had an 8.
Okay, it's this.
Yeah, he gets half.
Yeah, what are we doing? They rely on the players to police the games, and while I don't think the player was angle shooting, You have to protect your interest at all times. On the next hand, we'll stick with Badacey again, and I've got 4 to the wheel with 3 different suits. Not a bad starting hand at all. I raise it up to $60 to thin the pot out and end up heads up looking for the ace of hearts to make the nuts. My first draw brings in the 9 of spades, and because I'm in position, I keep the pressure on betting $20. My second draw brings in the 3 of diamonds, and once again, I fire for $40. My third draw gives me the king of hearts, which is not quite king perfect, but good enough to scoop the pot. We switch the game up to Drawmaha, which is a split pot game with half the pot going to the best Omaha hand and half the pot going to the best 5-card draw hand. I start off with 2 pairs, 7s and 5s, which is the way you want to start in Drawmaha, and I call the $60 raise with devious intentions to scoop the pot. We've got 4 players heading to the flop. My original plan to toss the king and go for a full house in my hand is thwarted when the board comes king 3-4. I've got top pair and a gut shot straight draw. I bet $20 and get raised to $40 and happily make the call. I'm going to be staying pat as everyone else declares their draw. The turn is the deuce of diamonds, which changes nothing for me. I fire again for $40 and everyone calls the turn bet. The river comes the beautiful 6 of diamonds. I've got the sneaky backdoor nuts on the board with a 7 high straight. Joy's got nuts, mounds don't. And not too bad of a 5-card draw hand with 2 pair. I bet $40 and get 2 callers. They hate to see the news. Things are going quite well. All right, I'm here with Josh. He loves the vlog. Year of the wager.
I love the vlog.
Loves the vlog. We're
I haven't
playing
learned anything yet because I'm down 28 big bets.
That's okay. That means you're on the
on the
road
way.
to mastery.
That's right.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
You got to lose a little money to get perfect at this
That's
game.
right.
We're playing 20-40 at the WSOP.
He said a little money. I've lost a lot of money. But basically,
it's relative. It's dropping the bucket. Dropping the bucket. You're gonna win it all back in the next couple of days. How long are you in town for?
2 more weeks.
2 more. Hey, he's gonna be a millionaire by the time this is over from playing 20-40, and that's hard to do.
Probably I'll win one too.
All right, it was nice meeting you. Good luck. We switch over to Archie, a 5-card triple draw split pot game where half the pot goes to the best ace to 5 hand and the other half goes to the best poker hand. There's a double qualifier, which means you have to have better than a pair of 9s and better than an 8 low to win either half of the pot. I start off with ace 3-4-5, which is a great Archie hand. A pair of aces is tempting, but the objective should always be to scoop the pot. And if I catch the deuce, it will give me the best chance to do that. The pot has been 4-bet to me, but I capped the action, making it $100. I've got 3 callers and I'm throwing away my ace. The first draw brings me a good for nothing king of clubs. Not at all what I had in mind. I am undeterred though, as I know I have 2 more draws to make my hand. I call the $20. The second draw pairs my 3s, and I continue to keep the faith that the deuce I need is on its way into my hand. I call a $40 bet. The third draw shatters my faith, giving me a pair of 5s, which is not good enough to qualify for the high or the low. I'm forced to fold, and my hot streak has come to an end. At this point in the session, I'm still in great shape, up $1,000. The very next hand I start off with is 4 to the wheel again, except this time I'm open-ended, which is even better. I raise it to $40 and get re-raised $20 more to $60. We are heads up, drawing 1. The first draw I miss and fire regardless for $20. On the second draw, I miss again, pairing another wheel card, so I fire $40, assuming the third draw will get it done. However, the third draw pairs my 5. I check and lose at showdown. One more again, I call $40 in the big blind with 3-4 and drawing 3. The first draw brings me the same open-ended wheel draw from the previous hand, and I feel like I'm living in a scene out of Groundhog's Day.
What day is this? It's February 2nd. Groundhog Day.
Hopefully it won't take me several years to get out of the time loop and actually win a pot. I bet $20 and get raised. I make the call and draw 1. I toss the king and pull in yet another king. How many of those are in the deck again? I call $40 and draw 1 again. My opponent stays pat, which is not good at all. I miss the draw and don't qualify for the low. My opponent bets and I throw away my cards. On the next hand, we are sticking with Archie, but I decide to switch up my strategy, and instead of trying to make a wheel, I'm going to try and make a full house instead. I've got 2 pair, 10s and 7s, 3 draws, and a dream. I raise it up to $60 and I toss my king. There are 2 other opponents in the pot, and one of them is drawing 3. It's fairly obvious he has a big pair, likely aces. On my first draw, I fail to fill up, but that doesn't stop me from betting as I have the drawing lead. My opponents call, and we head into the second draw. One of my opponents is still looking to make trips and is still drawing 3. I missed the boat on the second draw, but continue applying the pressure, betting $40. My opponent, drawing 3, raises the $80.
Gentlemen, you have my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
I make the call and my opponent draws 2 cards, indicating he made trips, and now my hand is basically garbage unless I can catch a 7 or a 10. The river is a worthless king. My opponent leads out for a bet of $40. I make the call as pot odds indicate that I pretty much have to call, and he turns over trip aces and he scoops the pot. That's 4 hands in a row I've lost now, and my profit has been erased. On the next hand, I've got the button and maybe a case of the tilts, but I come into the next Archie hand with a raise and only a pair of kings. Perhaps I can take a page from my opponent and catch a 3rd king to make life easy. My first draw bears no fruit, but I call $20 to tell the dealer I will need 3 new cards, preferably of the royal variety. The dealer does his best to ignore my request, giving me 3 cards unfit to serve. I call $40 and politely request 3 new cards once again. The opponent to my right stays pat, and I can only hope he was on a low draw. This time the dealer does the exact same thing as he did the last time, and I'm feeling a bit deflated as I failed to improve my hand for the 5th time in a row. However, all is not lost as the small blind announces he has ace high and doesn't qualify for either the low or the high, and my other opponent only made a low, so I'm fortunate to get half the pot. Maybe we're about to turn it around. For the next hand, the game has been switched to Super Stud 8 or better. That means we're being dealt 4 cards down and 1 up, and we must discard 2 before 4th Street is dealt. The player to my left has a queen showing, so I decide to toss one of my queens and keep 3 clubs because no one else has a club showing. Not sure if that's the right play, but it's too late to turn back now. We've got 5 players. Off the bat, the player to my left with the queen raises it to $60. And what tends to happen in these Super Stud games is the pot gets bloated early. I catch the 5 of diamonds on 4th Street, and the same player 3 bets to $60 again after catching the deuce of clubs. That card doesn't coordinate with his queen at all, but he's acting like he's rolled up. But I know he can't be as I had 2 queens. I call the $60. I catch the ace of hearts on 5th Street, which is always a powerful card in stud 8. My plan to make a flush has gone by the wayside, but now I have a board that should look pretty scary to my opponents. Everyone checks 5th Street, and my board looks even more impressive when I catch the deuce on 6th Street. I bet my board representing the nut low, and I get raised to $120.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
I know the player to my left is playing for the high side of the pot, and the player across the table has a 9 low showing. I currently have an 8 low and have to feel like a 4, 6, or 7 should guarantee me the low half of this massive pot. I also falsely assume that my 8 has to be the best low and decide to re-raise to 160. However, it appears that I only called the bet, although I announced a raise. The money is right in the pot, but everyone including me should have put another $40 in the middle. The jack of diamonds on 7th Street is a complete brick. I'm stuck with 8 perfect, which doesn't feel like a winner based on the action. It checks around and I get the bad news. My opponent made a straight to the 9 with a 7 low, and he scoops the pot with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. After 10 hands, you can see my fortune has completely reversed itself, and I'm now down quite a bit. We need to turn things around and get back on the right track. We decide to attempt to right the ship in another hand of Super Stud. We are dealt King 7, 8, 10, 9. We toss the king and the 10 to go for the lower open-ended straight draw. We are raised to $60. We make the call and head into 4th Street with 4 players. On 4th Street, we pair our 8 and raise the action up to $40. We keep all the opponents in the hand. On 5th Street, one of my opponents makes a pair of 6s, severely limiting my chances of making a straight since I tossed a 10. However, I double pair my cards by hitting the 9 of hearts, and now I have dreams of making a full house by the river. I lead out for $40 and get raised. I make the call to 80 and we head into 6th Street. Miraculously, I catch a 10 on 6th Street, which now makes me open-ended for the straight, but my best chance of making it is to catch a jack, as 2 6s are already accounted for. I lead out for $40 and get 3 callers. The poker gods bless me on 7th Street with the jack, and I make a jack high straight. I lead out for $40 and get 3 more callers. The straight is good for the high half of the pot, and I split $1,000 with one of my table mates. Let's keep the turnaround going. I'm dealt ace 4 9 jack with a 3 door card. I decide to toss the 9 and the jack and call the opponent's raise for $40. We're playing heads up, and the queen on 4th Street doesn't slow the action down as my opponent has 7 6 of spades showing. I pair my queens on 5th Street and lead out for a better $40. However, I get raised when he catches a red king. The king doesn't go with his low spade board at all, so I stay with the action. Check calling on 6th Street when I make the 6 of clubs. I now have 4 to a queen high flush and 4 to the 6 low. All I need is a low club to scoop the pot. On 7th Street, I catch the useless 10 of hearts, which means I miss my low and the flush, so now all I have is a pair of queens. Pot odds say I must call anyway since I am beating his board, and my opponent shows me that he actually had a set of kings on 5th Street and rivered a bigger flush than I would have made. Not awesome. Every variant of poker is all about the various binds you get put in and what decisions you have to make with the data you have. In Super Stud 8, you have to decide whether to play or not and which cards to throw away right off the bat. I've got a 5 of hearts in the door and a queen 2 4 8 in the hole. The decision I have to make is whether to go for the wheel draw or the flush draw with the low. I look around the board, and based on what I see, I decide to keep the 2 and the 8 and go for the flush instead of the wheel, where I would need a gut shot 3 and an ace or a 6 to make a straight. Clearly, my astute observation skills will send the pot my way. I'm in for $60 with 4 players. The 9 of hearts gives me faith in my card predicting skills, as now I only need 1 more heart to make my flush. 5th Street doesn't cooperate as I pair my 9s. This not only doesn't make my flush, but it decreases my chance of hitting it low as well. My opponent makes a pair of jacks, so I slow down and call $40. 6th Street gives me 2 pair with the 8 of clubs, and I call the $40. The river does not bring the full house that I need, but I make the call and lose to a bigger 2 pair. I'm faced with the very same type of decision on the next hand of Super Stud 8, where I'm dealt ace 3 3 in the hole with a 5 up. Do I once again go for the wheel draw, break up a hidden pair of aces, or do I throw away the 3s and give myself a decent shot at the scoop again? Since predicting the cards went so well for me last time, I look deep into my crystal ball and decide that the straight is not coming and I need to keep my pocket aces. I come in for the raise and throw away the 3s. I've got 3 opponents. The dealer wastes no time in giving me a 4 of spades, which is one of the cards I would have needed for the nut low straight. It's a good card for me, so I lead out for $20 and everyone calls. On 5th Street, the dealer gives me the 2, which is the other card I would have needed for the nut low straight. So clearly I'm going to have to go back to the card predicting school or get a new crystal ball. It's still a great card for me, but since I threw away 2 3s, I doubt I'm going to catch another one. I still got a good low draw and a pair of aces, so I lead out for $40. The jack on 6 is terrible, but you can never let them see you sweat, so I bet another $40. 7th Street delivers the 8 of diamonds. It's an 8 low, but I'm not sure if it's good enough to win half the pot or not. So I check and find out that I will be getting the low half of the pot, but my aces won't take the high half. We change the game to Bloodsport Badugi, where there can only be one winner.
There can be only one.
I'm dealt 5 6 7 jack With the 3-card Badugi, I raise it up and find myself being raised back to $60. I make the call and toss my jack. I've got 2 opponents. On my first draw, I improve by making a 3 of clubs, which now means I'm drawing to a 6-high Badugi. I lead out for $20 and get 2 callers. The 8 of clubs on the second draw means my opponent may not have clubs, but I slow down and check. On the last draw, I catch another club giving me a 3-card 6. I'm betting 2, but I think my 3-card might be good, so I make the call. Then we get raised and it's clear that I'm up against at least 1 Badugi, so I make the laydown. On my next Badugi hand, I'm dealt ace, ace, 3, 4 double suited. I come in for a raise and keep the ace 3. I've got 2 opponents. I make a jack 9 Badugi on my first draw and lead out for a bet. I'm raised and make the call. I stay pat and my opponent stays pat too. Now it's a game of chicken. Who is going to blink first? Does he have it better than a jack 9 Badugi? I don't know, but we're about to find out. I lead out for a bet and he raises me. He is saying he has me beat. However, I'm going to try to shake his confidence with a re-raise. He makes the call and stays pat. He's clearly shaking in his boots as he leads out for another bet. I know I'm beat, but I make the call anyway to confirm the bad news, which is that he has an 8-high Badugi. My stack is dwindled down to right around $200, which means I'm losing $800 on the session, and I'm down almost $1,900 from my high point. One of the worst feelings is having to change out your $100 black chips in a 20-40 game because you've gotten short stacked. I was lucky enough to win a couple of 3-card Badugi hands, which gave me some money to play around with. When I find myself in the next Badugi hand holding 3-4 jack king, I decide to take these cards out for a spin. I'm on the button and I call the $60 raise, drawing 2. My opponent stayed pat on the deal, which means he has a Badugi already. Now it's just a matter of how good it is. The average dealt Badugi is around a jack, so I'm aiming to beat that if he doesn't take any more cards. My first draw misses and I don't improve, but I'm gonna call the $20 and draw 2 more once more. Did I just draw a 5-high Badugi?
Great Scott!
I can't raise quick enough. My opponent calls and stays pat. I lead out for the last $40 bet, hoping and praying for a call, but to no avail, he wises up and makes the good fold. We switch the game up again to Deuce to 7 Drawmaha. This is a split pot game where half the pot goes to the best Deuce to 7 hand that you're holding after 1 draw and to the best Omaha hand on the board. I'm dealt 3, 4, 5 jack jack. It's not the best hand to play, especially after it's 5 bet, but I find myself in the middle of the action thinking I will have to toss 2 jacks. That is until the flop comes queen, queen, jack, and I flopped a full house. At this point, I know I'll be playing for only half the pot since my pair of jacks won't win anything on the Deuce to 7 side, so we want to get as much money into the pot as possible. I'm able to get a raise in on the flop for $40 and keep all 4 callers. I elect not to draw any cards, although I suppose I could have done it for a little deception. The turn brings another jack and I get upgraded from a full house to quads. When you hit a hand this powerful, it reminds me of what my Uncle Ben used to tell me.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
I do my part and bet my hand, leading out for another $40 and keeping all players in on the turn. The river comes a meaningless king, and I get another round of betting in. I show the table we're not in Kansas anymore.
This is Sparta!
And that half of this $1,000 pot is guaranteed to be coming my way. We switch the game up to Super Razzducey, a split pot game between the best Badugi hand and the best Deuce to 7 hand in stud format. I'm dealt queen jack 8 deuce with the jack up and 3 different suits. Not the best, but I've got a deuce and that's good enough for me. So we'll have 3 players and I'm in for $20. 4th Street brings me a 7 of spades, which doesn't help the Badugi hand, but does improve my Deuce to 7 hand. I lead out for $20. The 9 of spades on 5th Street still doesn't improve my Badugi hand, but now I have made a jack in my Deuce to 7 hand with 2 cards to come. I lead out for $40 and get raised to $80. I make the call and we lose 1 player. We're now heads up. The 7 of clubs on 6th Street looks like a bad card at first since it pairs my hand. However, I needed a club and that means I have a 9-high Badugi right now. I lead out for $40. The 3 of spades on the river is the perfect card, giving me an 8-high Badugi with a 9-8-7-3 deuce and the deuce to 7, which is also pretty good. I could raise, but I decide just to call, and as suspected, I end up scooping the pot. We're gonna stick with Super Razzducey for the next hand, and I'm dealt 8-8-5-7 with the 3-door card. I raised to $40 and tossed my 2 8s. We're going heads up into 4th Street, and the Ace of Diamonds is a terrible card, but it does give me a Badugi. I call the $20. The Deuce of Diamonds is a great card, giving me a 7 high Badugi with a draw to the nuts and deuce to 7. I bet $40. The 7 on 6th Street is useless, but I keep the pressure on with another bet, and the river brings me a glorious 4 of diamonds, which completes the wheel, giving me what we like to call a 7-7 in the poker streets. I lead out for a bet and show the opponent the bad news. On the final notable hand of the session, I'm dealt Ace-10 Deuce-9 with a 3 up. I call the raise of $40 and toss the ace and the 10 heading into 4th Street with 2 opponents. 4th Street brings a 4 of spades, good for the deuce to 7 hand, but not for my Badugi. I bet $20 and keep 2 callers. The 6 of clubs on 5th Street is a perfect card. I now have a 9 high in the deuce to 7 hand with a draw to the 6 high Badugi. I lead out for $40. The 9 of hearts on 6th Street gives me a 9 high Badugi to go with my 9-6 on the deuce to 7 half of the pot, which is good enough for the scoop. This hand completes my comeback and allows me to get off the roller coaster ride. I was up as much as $1,000, but finished only up $360, but a win is a win, and I'll take it. So as you can see, that was a definite roller coaster ride, ups and downs, but at least we finished up for the day in this particular session. We've got some good sessions coming up. We've got some big 8160 games coming. I recently played in London, so we got that game coming. And then we've got the Mixed Game Festival and my mixed game coming up, as well as some more instructional videos. So continue watching the channel and showing your support. Leave some comments. I love responding to the comments down below. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.